The 2000s were so edgy for some reason. We were all collectively not going through a phase, mom. Bands that made fun pop punk music just a few years prior, like Blink-182, were now making the most heartbreaking emo anthems. Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man went emo. Even Mario was prescribed Prozac for his depression at the time. There was an overall shift in our culture that made everything gray and brown and black and cool, yet angry. Many new games had rougher visuals and darker themes, but we're not here to talk about those new edgy games. Those aren't funny. What is funny though is games like Mario, Pokemon, and even Pac-Man trying to be edgy. Today I'll be going over the edgy era of gaming and my peer-reviewed hypotheses as to what caused this. First, I want to go over a bunch of games that decided to go edgy to really prove my point. Let's begin with Fat Red himself. In the 90s, Mario was made out to be a big fat baby by Sega. Little did they know this tubby little guy had something up his sleeve, and that something was a tribal tattoo. This is already taking a weird turn right off the bat, and also I'm kind of sorry for calling him fat so many times. I'd love to see what the floor of his 2002 Nissan Altima looks like. You know that shit reeks. You would never see Mario in prison now, unless... Not only was Mario put on trial, but he was imprisoned and framed by Shadow Mario in this game. This shadow phenomenon is going to be a recurring thing here. Before we move on, I need to mention Mario Strikers. Just take a look at every Mario sports game cover art and then look at Strikers. They were really trying to make Mario look hard. This is not a game for babies. Pokemon, on the other hand, is for babies. It's got Pikachu, Plusle, and Absol. I should have fucking cool shades for this. In the 2000s, Pokemon was really trying to prove itself to the trailer trash audience. Pokemon like Zangoose, Lucario, Garchomp, Staraptor, Luxray, Giratina, Darkrai, Zoroark, and so many other Pokemon really feel like they wanted a teenager to set down his monster energy and be all like, damn, that's sick. You'll notice most of these Pokemon are from Gen 4 when Pokemon was at its edgiest with its darker storyline and sick character design. Going back to the Shadow version of characters, that whole phenomenon, Pokemon Coliseum and Pokemon XD RAR, that's not the title, it's Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, introduced Shadow Pokemon because how else can you make your kids game look cool to teenagers that like WWE and Linkin Park? Another series that decided to go edgy for like 2 seconds was Pac-Man World. The first two games were chill, cartoony, fun vibes, but you know what would be more fitting for a big yellow smiling ball man with the red boots to do? Go through dark industrial levels and commit battery. I think they knew the series was done after this one and they just wanted to see how much stupid shit they could get away with, and they got away with a lot. Staying in the realm of silly mascot gone edgy, we have Epic Mickey. It was inevitable we would come across the word epic when talking about the 2000s. They tried making Mickey cool in Kingdom Hearts, and it turned out to be dorkier than fucking Steamboat Willie. Speaking of which, here's a royalty-free little clip of that. Thank you to Disney for allowing me to use that full clip. You guys rule. You guys are the best. Although in this game, Mickey doesn't look like he would huff paint for fun like the rest of these edgy characters. Where was I going with that? Although Mickey himself doesn't look like he'd huff paint for fun, the rest of the game has this darker visual and story that was begging you to take it seriously. Please, we're telling a really good story this time. I'm pretty sure this game was actually pretty sick. I never played it, but I've heard good things about it, so that last line was just a joke. Please go easy on me. I mean, look how sick I look. You can't fuck with me. I mean, don't go easy on me, bro. I'll take you. Okay, now we gotta address the elephant in the room. I don't want to spend too much time on this, so let's just jump right ahead. Shadow the Hedgehog. Instead of making like an evil variant of Sonic or the Dark Sonic, which I think they might have actually done that, they really committed to Shadow and made him his own damn person. They knew he was gonna pop off. I guess Knuckles wasn't cool enough, so they had to go even edgier for Sonic Adventure 2 and introduce Shadow the Hedgehog. As Knuckles, I'd feel a little hurt. You're Sonic's tough friend, but you chill and you low-key nonchalant, and how do they repay you? By throwing you to the side. Doesn't it hurt, Knuckles? Trust me though, I get it. I've been there. You know, never good enough. I need to make a formal apology to anyone in the San Diego extended region. Every time I visit that city for some reason, I get this urge. I don't know if that's the right word, but I get this fucking pounding urge to ask every bystander if they think Sonic or Knuckles is cooler. I've done it on the gondola at the zoo. I'm sorry. I've done it to walking sorority girls at 2 a.m. Hand out the window. Please, wait. Who's cooler, Sonic or Knuckles? People usually say Knuckles. I'm dumbfounded when people say Sonic. How the fuck is Sonic cooler than Knuckles, dude? Sonic is a dork. The guy on the gondola said Knuckles, so he got to live. Shadow eventually got his own game, which Knuckles never got to do, where he gets to shoot guns, which Knuckles also never got to do. But to be fair, that's more because of his history with mental illness. Shadow is the epitome of edgy 2000s. He had the classic edgy red and black color scheme. He shot guns, and he would occasionally say the word, damn. All right, now let's get into the causes of this whole thing. Why is Shadow so sick? No, gaming was getting edgy overall, and it bled into the kids' games as the whole industry tried to prove itself. At the time, gaming was seen as a kid's hobby because who else other than little kids would want to roleplay as a fat plumber trying to get some pussy? Games in the 90s and 2000s were really trying to be dark and twisted to prove they weren't for little peepee babies. They were for you and I. A couple of peepee babies trying to look cool. Edgier games were also a result of the kids who grew up playing video games, getting older and wanting to play more mature games with complex stories and darker themes. They're still appealing to the same audience in a sort of way. The audience had just grown up. And this is just a normal part of growing up. Something about having this stuff start to grow down here makes you not want to play with talking animals anymore. The industry getting edgy was also the result of something pretty historic that happened at the time. And I'm not talking about the release of worldwide success Shrek. You can't really talk about story themes in media getting darker in the 2000s without talking about 9/11. I don't want to do it, but here we are. As I understand it, the world completely changed after 9/11. I can't tell you much about it firsthand because I was a baby before 9/11, and here I stand before you 23 years later. Man, the world wasn't fun anymore. I think Shadow took 9/11 pretty hard. Let's take a quick look at 90s fashion and then 2000s fashion. These kids definitely witnessed something horrific happen in their lifetimes. Everything in media was darker. Movies, music, and video games covered more serious topics and had darker visual styles compared to the previous decade of media. 9/11 caused My Chemical Romance. The quintessential emo band was a direct result of 9/11. And it's important to note I say quintessential emo band, not the best emo band. You can fight me in the comments about it. They're great, but there's better stuff out there. I'm sorry. To blame this all on 9/11 would be kind of dumb. That'd be like me blaming every death I have in Fortnite on 9/11. Every handful of years, our culture shifts in one way and then bounces the opposite way as a result. The 80s were crazy and colorful, so the 90s were a bit more dull, and then the 2000s had to be even darker and cooler than that. Look at pants. In the late 2000s, people looked back at the early 2000s in disgust over their giant dragging pants. So people started wearing what can only be described as skin-tight denim leggings. I can't say much because, actually I can say much. I was in middle school when this happened. I was wearing tight jeans that a little boy should not be wearing and colors that a little boy should not be wearing. And now that I look back at it, I probably looked fine as hell. And I'm curious as to why none of the teachers complimented me in a, bit of an inappropriate fashion, but I deserve to be complimented in an inappropriate fashion at the time. I had bright red, tight-ass skinny jeans, dude. I looked fucking sick for a 6th grader. Another 10 years after we had that crazy skinny jeans trend, look where we ended up back at with pants. I've struggled with that sentence, and I'm not going to re-record it. Gamers aging up, video games trying to prove themselves as real media, the effects of 9/11, and a shift in our culture led to video games getting really edgy for a little while. It's been about 20 years since this edgy era happened, and I think it's safe to say we bounce in the opposite direction. I feel like most games that come out now are very cartoony and bright. They kind of look too similar now, and they all look like Fortnite and Overwatch, which probably started this trend. It's kind of weird now that I think about it. Kids today don't care about their video games being edgy or looking cool. They just want to flex their skins, which I feel like is something you could say about kids in the 1940s. I think after 2008 hit and everything went to shit again, we realized we want games to be an escape from this reality. not a reminder of how bad it is. I know this isn't a kid's game, but I'll always cite GTA as like a perfect example of what culture was like at the time. GTA 4 had a really dark and edgy storyline. It was still goofy and fun, but it was definitely way darker than the rest of the games. GTA 5 threw all of that out the window and decided to make another funny and silly, goofy game again. It was very bright and cartoony compared to 4, and I think it showed that we were out of our edgy phase in gaming. Mario and Sonic, for example, don't do anything really that edgy. I know the new Mario Strikers game kind of had that edgy visual, but that was just because it was a sequel to the first one. It wasn't a result of them wanting to do it. Mario has kind of been in his like cutesy little glow up era, go off sis. He looks better than ever right now. Sonic, on the other hand, I don't know. Sonic is just ass. Like, I'm sorry, it just sucks. I don't have much to say about it. I don't even know if there's like a visual identity to Sonic other than colorful. They should just make another Shadow game. Why are they still trying with Sonic? It's not working. Bring back Shadow. That really popped off when it came out. Basically, nothing is that edgy anymore, especially in terms of all the kids games I talked about. Edgy video games were really a product of their time. They encapsulate the culture of the world, mostly just America, from like the late 90s up until 2012-ish, when things started to get so XD random, silly, derpy. Don't get me wrong, there are definitely edgy games outside of this date range. Don't try to debate me in the comments about it, I know. But again, I didn't want to dwell on games that were already aimed at adults or part of an already edgy game series, because that's just not really out of the ordinary. What is out of the ordinary though is Mario with a sick tribal tattoo and Shadow putting motherfuckers on a shirt. Edgy video games happened. A lot of us grew up on them in that era of culture and now have a crippling addiction to emo music. Shout out Hot Mulligan for making fucking awesome emo music in the modern day. That's so hard to find. Boy, do I love to get sidetracked. New videos every week. Guys, don't smash that subscribe button. Freaking slice it with your katana blade. Comment your favorite kids game gone edgy. Also, I might have a fun little announcement next week or sometime soon. So stick around for that. Join the Discord for that. Thank you for watching.